Hello and welcome to the Kelly Hart Show. I'm Kelly Hart, and my guest today is running for Douglas County Commissioner. It's Dan Sutton. Dan, welcome to the program.
Kelly, thank you very much. This is a great opportunity, and I appreciate you inviting me in to talk.
You've had a busy day already. You've been out knocking on doors and ringing doorbells. How's that experience been?
You know, it's actually an exceptional experience. You get a chance to meet some very nice people in the community, and you get a chance to listen to what their concerns are. And they really vary geographically from area to area. If you're down along the waterfront in the river, personal property rights, number one issue, without a doubt. If you're up on the hill, water rights, because if you're up in the Fanch area, water is a big issue up there. It is not an abundant resource. And interestingly enough, up there, traffic.
Yeah. We put a lot of houses on that little hill. And surprisingly enough, they're still putting more houses on that little hill. And they're not done building by any stretch of the imagination. So where do those resources come from? What can you do as a commissioner to alleviate their fears?
You know, in the position of being a commissioner, with regards to water, the serious answer, there's not a lot we can do about it. The resources are what they are. Perhaps you could build a second reservoir, something like that, so you can slow down that process of supply and demand. But they are located geographically in a dry zone. That water has to be pumped up there, and there is a cost associated with that. The more houses you build, the greater the burden. And you know, a lot of the people that live up there that I've talked to understand that. But they still want their infrastructure maintained.
Sure. Well, they want to have green lawns and pools, and they want to have all of the same thing that the Flatlanders and the people down by the river get to have. They want their quality of life to be improved as well. What are some of the other things that the constituents are telling you as you're knocking doors and asking questions?
Well, you know, going back up there just briefly to the Fancher Heights specifically, the people that moved up there knew that they were going to have high water bills. They weren't surprised by that. They're a little bit alarmed by their property assessments. Now, granted, it's a beautiful area, but there certainly is a feeling that perhaps because they're perceived as being affluent, they're being tapped a little harder than perhaps the rest of the community is.
And not all of the Fancher developments were meant for the affluent crowd. There's a lot of affordable housing.
There is a lot of affordable housing
up in that area as well.
Absolutely.
Do you think that as a commissioner, you can take this piece here, that piece here, this piece here, and make them all work together? Is that something that you've learned how to do as being a businessman?
I think you have to be able to. Getting collaboration between the different entities, well, it's an essential part of the job. You have to be able to work with the different departments, the different utilities, whether it's the Port District, who is trying very hard and actually doing a good job of trying to bring more industry, more jobs, more development in a more industrial context as opposed to the small business in here, to the utilities, water, sewer, their districts. You know, they work very hard in complying with state law and making it work. Having a good relationship and the ability to find common goals to build on is essential as a commissioner, which is what a businessman does every day. You know, I don't take monthly leadership classes. I practice leadership every day of my life. That's how you are successful in the private sector, is by being a leader. If you're not, then you're either an employee or a manager, because there's always a leader at the top.
So the buck stops with you.
The buck absolutely stops with me.
And you're used to making that call. So this wouldn't be something strange to you.
No, I wouldn't go so far as to say it would be business as usual. It's a new environment, but I'm heavily involved in the political arena in some of the other hats that I wear. And we get down and dirty with issues that affect businesses specifically, and even some educational issues. As my role as board of directors for the Washington State Restaurant Association, for example, we track some 45 to 55 House and Senate bills each year, and what other initiatives that might get thrown in the mix. And really our role is to identify those issues that support the health and development of our economy, independent business people, and we do our best to promote those. And conversely, we do everything we can to try to stifle the same laws that might hurt business and growth. We also have an educational component to our association, and it gives us the opportunity to help kids from high school going into college perhaps identify a career in the hospitality industry. There are scholarships and grants involved, and it's a very rewarding position to be in.
I realize that county commissioners don't have a whole lot of sway when it comes to, for example, the minimum wage law,
right,
or the bill that's in front of a number of people right at this particular moment. But as the Restaurant Association, you've got close ties with Seattle restaurateurs who are being burdened now by that forced upon them higher minimum wage. What are they telling you?
They're stuck between a rock and a hard place in the Seattle area. It's already on them. There is no putting the genie back in the bottle there. And the concern is what happens in King County too often filters over into our communities. And that's where my role there is directly applicable to the citizens of Douglas County. The advantage that I have in this role is that I have a pretty global perspective of what these issues are. We deal with issues like the trade agreements, for example, Trans-Pacific trade agreements. It gives me a perspective and an understanding so that when a farmer in Douglas County or a rancher comes to me with a concern, I actually have a fairly broad knowledge of what they have to deal with and what those concerns might be, and perhaps even be a resource to lead them to a solution.
Our guest today on the Kelly Hart Show is Dan Sutton, and he is running for Douglas County Commissioner. We'll be back with more right after this.
As the weather warms, the golf course beckons. Your brain might be ready to play golf, but is your body? Get those golf muscles toned with a few sessions on the golf simulator at the Golfer's Edge. Play Pebble Beach or Pinehurst, or just hit the range while PGA Pro Ed Payne fine-tunes your swing for the upcoming season. New grips, new shafts, new clubs, new balls, new clothes, a new year on the links. It all starts at the Golfer's Edge on Mission between Kittitas and Yakima. It's golf the way it should be at the Kaler Glen Golf and Ski Resort at beautiful Lake Wenatchee. With water, wildlife, towering pines, their signature driving range, and lush green grass, you don't have to be good to play Kaler Glen. Just be prepared to have fun. And the Kaler Glen Golf Special is the way to do just that. On Mondays, you can golf 18 holes with a cart for just $25. It's the NCW Life Channel Special, exclusively at the Kaler Glen Golf and Ski Resort.
It's Leonard Evans Superstore's Red Hot Clear the Lot Super Sales Event. Choose from over 150 super clean cars, trucks, and SUVs, over 50 of them priced under 10 grand, and drive any one of them home with $0 down. But hold on, it gets better. Make no payments till November. Leonard Evans has 1.79% financing, $0 delivers any vehicle in stock, and you drive payment free for 3 full months. But hurry, these offers end soon. Leonard Evans, where the name means a great deal.
The NCW Life Channel serves as Wenatchee's local TV station. Our channel highlights community growth, information, sports, and entertainment. You can experience the news, events, and people of North Central Washington on the station that is committed to the area we call home.
Welcome back to the Kelly Hart Show. Dan Sutton is our guest, and he's running for Douglas County Commissioner. Where we left off was starting to talk about transportation. And Douglas County has its fair share of rural roads. Just last weekend, I was on a rural road. And it's been a while since I've been on rural roads because rural roads are rough and bumpy and hard to get your stuff from farm to market going over those. You'll get to deal with that as a county commissioner, will you not?
Absolutely. Roads and transportation are one of the major duties that a commissioner oversees. We do have some rural roads. In fact, some is probably an understatement. It's probably safe to say that at least half of our roads are rural roads. We have 1,800 square miles of county, and you know, with the exception of Mansfield and Waterville, for all intents and purposes, the entire population base is on the perimeter of the county, and there are paved and advanced road systems to all of those areas and up through Waterville and Mansfield as well. But there is a lot of unimproved road out there, and some of those roads are used as more primary transportation by the farmers than one might expect. There's a road that is between Brewster and Bridgeport, Delsmer, and it is in a geologically unstable area. And the county is currently looking for a solution for that right now. But if you have, and especially in the tree fruit area, rough roads equal bruised and damaged product. It's really that simple, which means a loss to the farmer. Rough roads for the dryland farmer mean slower transportation, more maintenance on equipment, etc.
Well, if you're having to choose to go 10 miles out of your way so that you can stay on improved roads or on pavement,
right,
as opposed to occasionally graded
right,
place, that's costing you money.
Absolutely. And you know, we're a four seasons climate up here, and the freeze thaw effect and of course the wet season on the unimproved roads really wreaks havoc. And as a commissioner, I think it's incumbent upon us to identify those roads that are really critical to some of the major agrarian producers and make sure we're doing our part to keeping those roads graded so they are a viable option for transportation to get product from farm to table.
Now, that being said, county roads crew has a lot of miles of roads to maintain. It's a big task. They have enough stuff, they have enough equipment, they have enough manpower. If they don't, how do you apportion that within the budget to fix this situation?
You have to understand the budget. You have to make sure that you prioritize the needs for the expenditures. And bringing product to market is a pretty high priority in our community. We are still and will be for the foreseeable future an agrarian-based economy. I have a lot of empathy for the rancher and the farmer. That's what we were formed on. That is our basis.
I remember when I first moved here in '85, learning the lessons of the agrarian economy. For example, when the wheat checks come in, you see the wheat farmers come down off the hill, and that's when they're buying trucks.
Absolutely.
And so there's a direct correlation to that. They're buying trucks, and then that means the employees of the people selling trucks can go out and get clothes for their kids to go to school with, or school supplies, or they can continue to put food on their table, kind of thing. And that was just one small example. That was just wheat farmers. We also have the seasons of the stone fruit growers and the apple growers, etc. So, and now we've got a burgeoning wine economy that's sprung up from out of nowhere.
Absolutely. You know, if you want to see somebody who is the ultimate risk taker, meet a farmer. They are totally dependent upon the weather, the economy, the cost of chemicals and fuel, because every dollar that is put towards the production of that product is $1 less they have to spend. And then if you get hail or a wet harvest, you're done for the year. I mean, it can wipe out an entire year's profits, and you still have to pay those chemical bills. You still have to pay those fuel bills. The wine industry, you know, I like agriculture, and we've lost a lot of our local agriculture. I grew up in a city, Wenatchee, that had orchards interspersed from block to block, running clear to the foothills. And those orchards are gone. They are developed into houses. There's no land left actually to develop in that respect. But I like the wine industry. I like the vineyards. They're beautiful. They bring in not only a stellar reputation for wine to this community, and we've done a great job with it, but there's some prestige and some attraction to it, and that component brings tourists in. And that's another source of dollars for our community.
Now, when you think of Douglas County, you don't necessarily think of it as a big tourist trap at all, but it does have its fair share of recreation and hunting and now wine tourism.
Absolutely.
To go with it as well. So what does a county commissioner do to encourage tourism?
Well, you do just that. You encourage tourism. We are the only state in 50 states that does not have a state-funded tourism program, which I think is sad. We really need to have a state-sponsored tourism program. So it's left up to the Chamber of Commerce and then the local entities, ag, apple, those people. Lake Chelan does a good job in Chelan County of advertising what they have to offer. We have a lot to offer in Douglas County. We have a lot of riverfront. We have property bordering on some major lakes. And we need to, as commissioners, encourage that, number one. And number two, make sure that we're not doing anything to inhibit it. You know, part of the job is getting out of the way of people who are trying to develop.
So let's talk about building, if you will. A couple of years ago, maybe as many as 4, 6, somewhere around that range, there was a perceived by the community effort on behalf of the building industry and realtors and property owners to put a couple candidates on the docket, push them through and start getting their agenda taken care of. Anybody come to you and said, hey, are you one of those?
You know, not so much. I've had one of the commissioners address me on that, and the reality of the situation is we have a very unfortunate adversarial relationship between both local governance and the building and developing community. And there are bad feelings, there is some old wounds, so to speak, and it's unfortunate because you cannot get good growth and good progress if you go into a meeting and you already have an adversarial nature set up. And that is, I'm sure that there's a little bit of blame to share all the way around, but that's management. You know, the job of a commissioner is to prevent those kinds of natures of happening, those kinds of relationships. Find the common ground. Build on what the common ground is. We need affordable housing. We need housing in general. The median price of homes in our valley has skyrocketed simply on supply and demand. There just simply is no reason for there to be an adversarial atmosphere in the governance / development forum. So you need somebody who can bridge that gap, who can find common ground to collaborate on. The laws are the laws. You know, to paint somebody as a bad guy is wrong because they still have to follow the law. You know, there is no special loop for a developer to jump through to circumnavigate code and regulation. They're in the business to feed their families as well. And any businessman is always looking for a way to make an honest profit.
There's nothing wrong with profit.
We live in a free market society. Thank God.
Our entire economy is built upon the whole concept of making money.
It is.
So
it is indeed.
I'm definitely in that free market economist mode. So we'll be back. We're going to talk a little bit more with Dan Sutton here on the Kelly Hart Show.
There's no substitute for the power of cable TV advertising. With solely on cable TV advertising, you can reach your target audience right here in North Central Washington. We understand their viewing habits and can precisely target your customers on great cable networks like these. Call Solely On Broadcasting today and let us show you how to put your business message right in front of thousands of prospects at a very affordable price. Solely On Broadcasting, 509-888-2020.
Hi everyone, Brent Crowder from Town Nissan. I've been talking about these cars all year. Now I want to show you with the beautiful Nissan Maxima, the Nissan Rogue, and the car that everyone's talking about, the Nissan Murano. If cars and SUVs aren't what you need, we now have the beautiful Nissan Titan diesel Cummins truck. Half-ton truck ride with all the power in the world. Come down and see us at Town Nissan behind Costco in East Wenatchee.
The Cottage Inn has been a Wenatchee Valley landmark since 1940, making it one of the longest-running locally owned restaurants around. And it's better than ever. Steak, seafood, and their famous homemade desserts for dinner, wonderful lunch items, and breakfast on Sundays, all made from scratch and at an affordable price. It's no wonder the Cottage Inn has been so popular for over 75 years. Enjoy a fabulous meal today at the Cottage Inn on Easy Street in Old Station.
Welcome back to the Kelly Hart Show. I am Kelly Hart. This is Dan Sutton. Dan is running for Douglas County Commissioner. And Dan, you're a restaurateur. You're a businessman. You've been doing this for a long time. It's not like you're just, fresh out of school and opening your first,
Right.
You're not a sous chef by any stretch of the imagination. You're out there going for it as a businessman every day. The regulatory process, the regulatory economy is tough on small business. You're a small business. I mean, you employ people, you run plenty of people through and put a lot of plates in front of them, but you're still considered by the state a small business.
Absolutely.
How do you negotiate this as a businessman?
Business is an interesting venue. You have to be fluid constantly. We bought Cottage Inn in 2004. We took it over. And for the first 4 years, we spent reestablishing its relationship. 2008 hit and was probably hopefully the most severe financial crisis this country has faced in my lifetime.
Since the Depression, many people said.
Since the Depression. And oddly enough, it didn't scare me. I looked at it as, okay, we've just faced a major paradigm shift. Things have changed. The rules have changed. I'm going to win this game. How do I do it? And it became apparent instantly that this was not going to be a flash in the pan. It was going to be a long-term recovery process. And in less than 30 days, I completely rewrote my business model. I restructured menus, I restructured staffing. I went counterintuitive to a lot of people who tend to panic because profits have changed, and lowered my prices. Because the goal wasn't to keep a certain dollar level up there. The goal was to keep my very valuable guests coming into my business and giving them a place, because they were in the same boat I was in. And so we shared the ride together. We restructured, we lowered prices, we kept people coming in. Their family, I want them to come into my business. But it's a mind game. You have to understand that business is a constantly moving target. Regulation is constantly moving. I could get a letter from the state tomorrow saying, okay, this portion of your taxes is just quadrupled. And that has happened before. So, okay, my rules have changed. I'm not willing to let it defeat me, so I've got to figure out a way to make it work. And perversely enough, I like that challenge. You know, it's something that's fun to do. It's what makes me a good businessman. It's part of my type A nature. It's part of my leadership style.
And I suspect you'll attack the position of Douglas County Commissioner with that same vigor.
You know, going into Douglas County Commissioner, anybody who has good business sense and business skills, the first thing you do is you learn, you observe, you listen, you take input from your valued staff. You filter that input. Nothing is gospel, but nothing is thrown away. You know, you have to start making judgments of the value of what you've got coming in as input. And those people that work at the county, they work hard. They're either doing a good job or they're trying to do a good job. And as you said before, the buck stops at the top. Everything stops at the top. If you're not willing to allow that to be part of your business philosophy, you're not a leader. You might be a manager, but you're not a leader. You're not willing to take that responsibility. If you're not willing to say, I made a mistake and I will fix it and this is how and this is when, perhaps you don't have the right stuff.
Dan, pleasure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being on the show. We'll do it again sometime between now and Election Day.
I look forward to it.
Dan Sutton, our guest today here on the Kelly Hart Show. A couple of reminders. You can watch the show at 2 o'clock, 6:30, and 11 p.m. each weekday. And I invite you to join Dan Kuntz, Wake Up Wenatchee Valley with Dan Kuntz, every weekday morning at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock and in the evening at 6:30. For now, this is the Kelly Hart Show. See you later.
There, Wenatchee. My name is Sean Lee, and I'm the host of the NCW Movie Guide. Join me every week for a breakdown of the movies currently playing at our theaters, as well as a sneak preview of some upcoming features.
Here comes the fun with Sea-Doo. From the affordable Sea-Doo Spark to the ultimate in comfort, luxury, and performance. Fun starts at just $51.99, including 2-year coverage. Visit your Sea-Doo dealer today.
Get the affordable sport watercraft today at Doghouse Motorsports on GSN Road in Wenatchee.
Like to know how to fix a broken joint and make it as good as new without messy glue or exposed screws? Get the Craig Joinery System and create rock-solid wood joints as good or better than new. All you need is a drill and our Craig jig to perfectly position hidden pocket holes for ultra-strong joints without messy glue or exposed screws. A Craig jig will pay for itself fixing chairs, drawers, frames, and more. Craig offers a 90-day money-back guarantee.
Your exclusive Craig dealer is Lombard's Hardwood Supply.
About 10 days.
Sounds like it's like housebreaking a cat.
That's exactly. Little guys. Isn't that amazing? You can recognize some.
Oh, I like that. I'm not there yet.
This is super gardener here. Oh, we have some cow bugs. Hey, you guys, you weren't supposed to moisture. And it's also going to make places for roots to grow. And you can get
Green Thumbs and Dirty Knees with Bonnie Orr. New episodes air Sundays at noon and throughout the week on the NCW Life channel.
This is Kelly Hart. Join me for the appropriately named program, The Kelly Hart Show. It's a different interview show where we focus more on the people. We also talk about the issues. The Kelly Hart Show, 2 p.m. and 11 p.m. weekdays, right here on the NCW Life channel.